welcome everybody tonight. This subject, show jumping, I want you to, by the end of the evening, think that this is a very doable, easy skill to have. We all sort of think about show jumping and everything comes down to the nitty gritty with show jumping. One rail down and it can have a big impact on your final placings. So it becomes quite a pressurized part of the competition. With dressage, we get very hung up on whether we've got some certain percentage, but that's well forgotten when we start to jump. So we're going to go talk about show jumping tonight, and I want to talk a little bit about how you look at it yourself, how you train your horse, little things that might jump out at you a little bit and you think, gosh, yes, I'll just try that, and that will really help. But basically, I want to make it a very simple subject. It's not complicated. It's about just training our horse to do the best he can, or do the best he possibly can. And certain areas are teaching him or him learning to be confident and brave, learning to be very careful. We'll talk all about these later in a moment too. He's got to learn to trust, learning to jump out of different speeds and stride lengths, and learning all the necessary skills. So all of those things have got to be brought into his training. But hopefully tonight I'm going to chat with you and show you how to do those things in a very simplistic way. And then you've just got to build up the confidence over a period of time. So, overview, what I'm going to chat about. I'm going to talk a little bit about nerves because that has a big impact on the way you ride. So we'll chat about nerves. I know Charlie and Wynne has covered quite that in a big subject, but I want to talk about it from a very practical point of view, and how it affects my riders, how it affects me as a coach as well. So I think it's a really important subject. I'm not going to stop talking about podium mentality because that's us doing the best we possibly can within our training. I'm going to talk about your job as the rider, and that's really important, what your rules are, what your skills have to be, and what you have to be better at. So it's always about the rider being better at their job. We'll talk about the horse's role as well, and that's really important. Oh, you see a little typo there with a capital R. But the horse has to play a big role, but we have to show him how to do it. So he is confident and has the skills. We're going to talk about the base exercises that we use. Each rider might have a different base exercise that will be different for each horse, and talk a little bit about turning your horse into an athlete. And last of all, we'll talk about your rules, because I want you to go away from this PowerPoint or this webinar tonight, being able to set your own rules that are going to be able to be used in the future to create a good system for you and your horse. And then, of course, we'll do Q&A. So if any questions come along through the evening, actually, I'll grab Callum to pull them off the chat, and let's talk about them as they come in, because they'll probably be very poignant to where we are in tonight's webinar. So that's the overview. That's what I want to really chat about. If there's anything else that any of you want me to bring into it, just put it on the chat, because it's a really big subject, and although I think I'm covering as much as I possibly can, please come and add a little bit more if you want to, and any personal things that's personal to you. So things to remember: clear rounds in the show jumping are achieved at home in training, not in the competition. The competition is just the final bit. So everything is put together in what you do at home. It's not luck of the draw, it is training. And we'll chat through different training skills. Developing the partnership, horse and rider partnership is about gaining confidence in your training. And again, I call training is what you do at home with your own coach. It can be anywhere, but not in competition. So it's about gaining that confidence. And confidence is a funny thing. We'll talk about confidence, but confidence is knowing that you have the ability to do something. And that's really, really important to the way you perform. Improving a horse's spatial awareness, his scope and his care is about using the right exercises for the individual, and having a mentality where you do everything to the best you possibly can, that podium mentality. Is really important about your flat work is your jumping, and your jumping is your flat work. So always aim to improve your flat work within your jumping sessions. And that can just be by doing a correct transition. Often when you're thinking about a track and then you're about to go off and do an exercise or jump a few fences or jump a track, and you've been stood in and walking about, possibly off a bit of a long rein, and the horse has dropped behind your leg. I can't tell you how many times I see a rider nip off into canter and go on the wrong leg. In fact, probably today, I could probably count at least 5 times I've seen riders go off on an incorrect strike off because it's been ill prepared. And that's just really bad training. It's bad training for the horse, and it's sloppy riding, and it doesn't breed good competition riders. So always thinking about the quality of your flat work. As soon as you've landed of a fence, you think about getting the horse's softness, riding the hind leg underneath again, and thinking about your straight line. When you've finished your jumping round or the exercise and you're about to give your horse a bit of a break, finishing off with a canter to trot to walk to a square halt is absolutely essential. So you're always improving the flat work all the time. And most importantly, when you're in the season of the winter season, moving into the spring, when you're trying to fit in a lot of different things like your galloping work, your jumping work, your flat work, you're going to the gym work, all of those things, there's not a lot of time to do pure flat work sessions without having to bring other things into it. So if you can amalgamate your flat work into your jumping, that'll really benefit. And always remembering, if you have an opportunity to stick a big whiteboard in your tack room, or put a big piece of paper up just before you're about to get on your horse to jump, the evil of the eye is the hand. So that you'll all understand what I mean by that, because somewhere along the line it will have related to you. So you're coming to a fence, and instead of allowing your eye just to absorb the pattern, you go straight to the hand because it's an automatic thing to do. So it's a really, really important phrase. The person that reminded me of that phrase years ago was a guy called Kenneth Clawson, who was my mentor, who I know if he was here today, he would be really loved by the majority of you because he was such a fantastic coach. But he said that to me one day, the evil of the eye is the hand, and absolutely it really sticks. So try and remember that. And if you're going to take your rules seriously and write down your rules and put them in your tack room, putting that at the top of it will just remind you to ride with that softer hand, and allow your eye to work first. Okay.